From Atlanta all the way to Indiana, with cars by cage snipes, I'm major, damn right. On stages, popping collars, I'm making a bigger dollar. When the engine holler, the women follow to see the problem. See, he got Impalas the same color as pollen, and I ain't got.
What's up, everybody? It's Gabe Sipes from Custom Audio Reimagined. Got another product review for you. Continuing on the Genius line, we are going to start reviewing the GXP Amplifiers. Now, the reason I'm going to review these amplifiers, which right here is the GXP 450.2. The reason I'm going to review these is Slamology was last weekend, which is, if you don't know what Slamology is, one of the largest car shows and the largest car audio show in the world. It's in Indiana every year around June. Actually, it's always in June, so it was just last weekend. I built my 300 using Genius audio products, my Chrysler 300C. I did GXP amplifiers and 2 Vulcan V7 12-inch subs. Now, grand total between all 3 GXP amplifiers that are in the line, which I put in my car, and the 2 12-inch V7 Vulcan subs, which are more like entry-level subs, it's about $1,000 retail. And I did that on purpose because owning a shop, I need to be able to get products that perform, that are at a good price, so my customers can afford a system and the install. As a shop, what I run into a lot is people come to me, want a full system, they only have this amount of money, they buy XYZ brand, and now they don't have enough money left over for the install, and then it's the installer left sitting there bartering his labor because the customer doesn't quite have enough to cover it. Me personally, I won't barter my labor. It is what it is. If you don't like it, kick rocks, go down the road. But other shops don't have that luxury to really do that, so they end up, instead of getting their $1,000, they get, $700 for the labor or whatever, and that's just stupid. So any brand that will give me the performance that the XYZ brands would, but at a better price, is great, because now I can get the customer the system they want and I can make the money I need. So when it came to my car, I asked Genius, what I should run, and we kind of went back and forth on what we were going to run. Originally, I was going to go with like their bigger line, what's part of their 10K line, their bigger amps and their bigger subs and all this, but it just doesn't benefit me to do that. My car needs to have products in it that people can afford, so when I demo it to them, it's something that they could actually get. It's not something that's only the top 10% people are going to be able to buy it because they're into car audio that much. So they told me the GXP was a solid line and that it performed. Me personally had my doubts, 100%. Just like everything in the Genius line, I've had my doubts because I don't know who they are. I've never heard of them, which is why I've been doing these videos, to show you guys who they are. In full disclosure, since I've been using their equipment and testing it, and then I just put it in my 300, at Slamology, I set up with Genius to become a dealer. So I now am a dealer. I carry the line at my shop, so if you want it, you can get it from me, but full disclosure on that, since I'm making videos, but because of the way it performed in my car, I started picking up the line because I really didn't think it was going to do that well. But I went ahead and did it. I built the car. I got it done Wednesday night. I loaded it. All I did was turn on the key to make sure the amp's powered up. I didn't listen to it, didn't tune it, didn't do anything. I put in the GXP amplifiers, all 3 of them. There's a 450.2, a 200.4, and a 150.4. I have the 450.2 running at 2 ohms stereo to the 2 12-inch subs. I haven't used a 2-channel amp to run my subs in 20 years, so I was really questioning on if this was going to be enough power, because I was running NVX 1200.1s, so to each 12. So I was really kind of skeptical that the amp was going to do what I needed. The 200.4 is running to the component set in the doors, and the tweeters are in the kick panel. And then I have 6x9s in the rear deck. And the 150.4 is running 3.5s across the dash. I went ahead and ran one of the channels of the 150.4 to the tweeters independently of the component set, just because that's how my original system was before. When I was running the NVX, I had separate amplification for each of those channels, so I went ahead and did that as well. Got it all in, turned it on, made sure everything powered up. Loaded it in the trailer, took it to the show. Basically, fingers crossed, because it could have sounded like crap. It could have been a huge disaster in front of everybody. because I also loaded up my wife's car, her Prius, with the GLT amps, which I did a review on, so I knew they performed, and they were small and tiny and perfect for her car, and they're 8-inch subs, which I'd never heard before, but I went ahead and put in the Genius 8-inch subs in her car also. Both cars sound amazing. Her car is hilarious because every time she goes to work or goes anywhere, people look around for the car with the system because she's bumping, and nobody expects it to be a Prius, and it is, and it's pretty funny. But the 8 sound great. I've actually got them in 2 fiberglass sub enclosures in the side that were originally built for the NVX 8s. The enclosures are too big, so I actually need to reduce the internal enclosure volume for the Genius because I'm getting a little bit over excursion because I'm not controlling the cones properly because I have them in too big of an enclosure. So I EQ'd the system with it's got the Axis DSP in it and the T-harness for the Toyota. So I EQ'd it and got it all set up so I wouldn't be destroying the 8s and where they sounded good, and her car bumps. Sounds great. So at the car show, Slamology, had both cars sitting there. People that listen to the Prius were cracking up because her car bumps. Then they got over into my car, my 300. It sounds amazing. The subs are 130 bucks a piece, and they bang just as hard as my $290 NVXs that were in there. They actually have a better sound. The bass is just it's weird. Everybody kept saying the same thing. The bass has a like natural, good, boomy sound. I don't know how to explain it, but it just doesn't sound harsh. It's that boom is just, I don't know. It's really hard to explain, but it sounded great, and everybody else thought it sounded great. So at the show, everybody wanted to know about these amplifiers. They wanted to know, what they did, how much they cost. They're very affordable, so I figured I'd do a review. So we have the GXP 450.2. That's running my subs. We have the GXP 200.4. That's running my mids. And the GXP 150.4 is running my highs and my high mid range, my 3.5s. Now all 3 of these amps, MSRP, I think ranges from like $260 to $300, which is MSRP on, which isn't bad, especially for how they perform. Now, the 450.2, this amp is the 2-channel that I'm running to my subs, which I said I haven't done in 20 years, and it's just strange to do. The amplifiers do have 4-gauge input. The 1200 or the 450.2 is fused out at 120 amps of fusing. And they have, the obvious high pass, low pass crossover. This has bass boost. One of the things about these amplifiers that's very cool is the RCAs. You can look at those. I'm not sure what the name is for those. There is a technical name. I had a guy say it to me and I can't think of it. But instead of just having the cheesy RCAs that mount up on the board, these actually have the threads with the set. It's like this, the threads, the nut, and it's like a set screw. It actually holds it on there on both sides. It's what they use in more like pro audio or musical instruments and things like that. And I've noticed that a lot of the Genius equipment has that type of RCA on most of their equipment, which it's kind of cool. And I've had a lot of people that saw that make a comment about it, and a couple guys actually said what they're called, and I'm too stupid to know what that is. So if you know what that's called, then cool, that's what they have. But it's just a higher quality RCA. It's just nicer. Everything else about it's pretty basic. It's aluminum. It's got this little shiny stripe here, lights up white. The ends are plastic, these end caps. I'm not a big fan of plastic end caps. They are what they are. And I noticed when you pick these amps up, if you pick them up from the edge, you noticed that the bottom plate and the plastic will kind of flex in your hand. And it instantly kind of gave me a feeling of, uh-oh, it's cheap, but they're not. They work. So the next step is we're going to get these amps over to the shop, get them on the dyno so you guys can see what they put out, and then I'll put up what their MSRP is. But let's get to the shop. Let's get these on the dyno. Let's see what they do. All right, what's up everybody? We are in the shop. We have the 450.2 hooked up. We're gonna go ahead and do a 4 ohm run. All right, so this is the 450.2. We're getting ready to run at 4 ohms. We're looking at for 450 watts. Let's go ahead and see what we get. $550 watts at 4 ohms. So we did 100 watts overrated power. So far, so good. Let's drop her down to 2 ohms where we're looking for 600 watts. All right, we got 450.2 running 2 ohm stereo. We're looking for 600 watts per channel. Let's see what she gives us. $850. All right, we were looking for 600. This little bastard did 250 overrated power, and that's at 12.7 volts because I'm actually losing on my my bench right now. Solid numbers. Now we're going to go ahead and bridge this thing. All right, this is the 450.2 running bridged at 4 ohms. We're looking at 1200 by 1 is what we're looking for. Let's see what we get. $1,032 watts. We definitely would have hit 1200, but my electrical did not hold up. You can see I dropped down to 12.2. I'm just beating up the battery banks too much doing these videos. There's no doubt that thing's doing 1200 by 1 in a car at 14 volts. They claim 1200 by 1 at 12.6 volts. It's right there. I'm not gonna knock it. It's my my electrical that didn't hold up. So it looks like Daddy's gonna have to look into putting more batteries in here and some bigger power supplies. But I'm happy with the results. This amp is underrated all the way throughout. We got to bridged. It wasn't so much underrated. It's kind of right there where it's supposed to be rated. Remember, this is a 2-channel amp, and at 2 ohms, we were running 800 watts per channel. So if you do the math there, that's 2 channels. This thing was actually doing 1600 watts at 2 ohms if you were to run it to 2 channels. So you'll get more power that way than even bridging this thing. So pretty happy with the results. Let's go ahead and get the 4-channel hooked up. All right, we've got the GXP 150.4 hooked up to the bench. Let's go ahead and get some numbers. All right, the GXP 150.4, 4 ohms. We're looking for 150 watts. Let's see what she does. Okay, so 288. We were looking for 150, we got 288. Underrated. Again, amplifiers are performing. Let's go ahead and get this thing set up for a 2 ohm run. All right, 150.4 set up for a 2 ohm run. We are looking for, at 2 ohms, 250. That'd be 250 by 4. Remember, this is a 4-channel amp. Let's see what she gives us. $450 watts. Supposed to be 250. You can't argue with the numbers, man. That thing's solid. So this is a 4-channel amp. So if you have this running at 2 ohms, 4 channels, you have 450 by 4 is what you're getting out of this amplifier. That's a shit ton of power for mids and highs. It's a ton. Let's go ahead and bridge this out and see what it does. 150.4 bridged at 4 ohms. We are looking for 500 watts. It's supposed to be a 500 by 2 bridged 4-channel. Let's see what she does. $684, solid number. So that'd be 684 by 2 bridged 4-channel amplifier. The 150.4, it passes with flying colors. Let's go ahead and grab the 200.4 and see what she does. Here we are with the GXP 200.4. Let's go ahead and get this set up and get the numbers. 200.4 running at 4 ohms. What we're looking for is 200 watts per channel, which would be 200 by 4. Let's see what she does. $328 watts by 4. Underrated again, just like all of the GXP amps have been so far. You definitely get what you pay for. Let's go ahead and get this thing set up at 2 ohms and see what she does. 200.4 at a 2 ohm run. What we're looking for here is 300 per channel, so that'd be 300 by 4. Considering we just did over 300 at 4 ohms, I really don't think we're gonna come up short. Let's see it.
First I didn't think that I was cut enough to bleed. Then I saw my secrets getting swallowed by the sea.
518 watts. We were looking for 300. Again, way underrated. Let's go ahead and bridge it out. We know it's gonna hit its numbers. All right, the 200.4. We are now looking at the bridge readings. So 4 ohms bridge. So this would be rated 600 by 2. So we're looking for 600 watts. Let's see what she gives us. We were looking for 600, we pulled 880. And it dropped me down to 12.5 on my bench. So all these numbers, if you're in a car with 14.4 volts and your alternator running, you can assume you're gonna pull an extra 100 to 200 watts out of these. So this amp would theoretically in a car give you 1000 by 2 bridged out of a 4-channel amp. It's awesome, man. All these amps did great. There's really not much else to say. They put out the power. They actually put out more than what they say they put out. They put out a lot of power for what they are. Pretty impressed with them. Wasn't expecting them to fail. I was expecting them to achieve what they have on the box because they rate them on the box at like 12.6 volts. So that tells you that they actually did do testing on these amplifiers. So I assumed they would hit their rated numbers. I really didn't expect them to blow the rated numbers out of the water. I mean, a couple of them blew them out of the water by 200-300 watts. So that's a big, that's almost twice as much as what it was supposed to produce. So that's a big deal. The other big deal is the MSRP. I know I told you guys, I would tell you what the MSRP is. You can go to geniusaudioUSA.com on their website. They have all the MSRP pricing listed. So the 450.2, which is what I have in my car running to my subs, is $295.95. The 150.4, which is what I have running my high mids and my tweeters, is $277.95. And then I got to change the page to get the MSRP on the 200.4. The 200.4, which is what I'm using to run my mids and highs, it is MSRP $317.95. So based on the pricing, based on the power they put out, these amps are completely worth it. I'm happy that I have them in my car, and I'm happy that I'm now a dealer because I'm able to sell products to my customers that I can actually get them into a price point where they're going to get something I know is going to do the power I need, and I can have the money left over for them to be able to afford to pay me to install it. So all in all, the GXP line is a win-win. If you're a customer looking to get them, you can go to their website. You can get a hold of me. Like I said, I'm selling them now. And if you're a shop that wants to try these things out, you can get a hold of me. I'll tell you everything I know about the product. And if you'd like to get some products to try and use, to play with, see if you want to carry them in your shops. I know that they're right now aggressively getting dealers in the country and doing that. So right now would be the time to jump in before everybody else figures out that these things kick ass. So I'm Cape Sipes from Custom Audio Reimagined. I appreciate you watching the video. Stay tuned for next month's video, which is going to be on another series of amplifiers, which I haven't hooked up, seen, or played with yet. So hopefully they perform as well as these. Take it easy.